Hi, my name is Sampath Gomatam. I'm VP of Product here at Anaplan. I'm responsible for product management, user experience, a line of business product marketing, a platform product marketing team, a small team focusing on technology partnerships, as well as strategic pricing. So that's what I do here at Anaplan. I've been here for about 18 months. Been a fantastic journey, interacting with customers, seeing the value that the Anaplan platform delivers to you, interacting with our partners, and love hearing your feedback and continue to deliver the value that we already have today. And looking forward to working with you more in the future. With that, Anaplanners, ask me anything. So community member F. Wolf asked a question about product roadmap. How does the product team make decisions around the product roadmap? What goes into each release? How can customers get involved in providing feedback to the Anaplan team? So let me just answer it more broadly and then also get to the specifics. In general, the way we think about roadmap and the way we get feedback depends on multiple things. So one is, of course, direct feedback from our customers, and we do this in multiple ways. We have regular conversations with our strategic customers. The product team gets involved with the customer success business partner on a regular basis, whether it's a monthly cadence or a quarterly business review cadence. So that's one source of feedback. The other source of direct feedback from customers is our customer advisory boards. And now we have actually restructured this year the customer advisory board into multiple forums. So we have an executive customer advisory board as well as line of business specific customer advisory boards. And we're kicking off another chapter in Europe with an EMEA customer advisory board later this year. So those are all sources for direct feedback from customers. We also engage, the product team engages very heavily with our customer facing teams. So the pre-sales teams that are talking to prospects and customers, our customer success teams that are involved directly with the customers, and more importantly, another source of feedback back is our partners. Our partners are there talking to our customers on a regular basis, implementing the platform, and we get feedback from our customers as well, from our partners as well. So we do forums like partner days on a regular basis where we consolidate some of the feedback that comes back in. So those are the two key areas: customers, internal facing teams, partners, and then we think about our strategy, right? So where do we want to take our innovation? How do we want to take our platform into the new ways of doing planning for the enterprise? We are here disrupting the way planning happens. So connected planning as a message and as a vision needs to be supported by what we do in the platform. So that's another source of input into the roadmap discussions. So we figure out the themes that we're going to be working on, and then more granularly at an individual bucket level, right? So here are the specific themes, here are the different buckets. So the product managers are making decisions on a regular basis, on a sprint by sprint, epic by epic basis, figuring out based on the technology, based on the dependencies, what can be achieved and what can be delivered. So a couple of great examples in the past 6 months or so, we have delivered tons of great improvements on the current platform, on the current UX framework. We have delivered a lot of usability features. All of those were dictated very heavily by customer feedback and by our customer-facing teams. The specific way the features were built. We do a lot of usability sessions as well and user research that influences the unmet needs that our customers have and the gaps. That influences what goes into the specifics of the product from a usability standpoint. And once we decide that we are actually setting out to do specific features, we're doing usability tests all the time to make sure that the design is right, the usability is good, the information architecture is right, and so on. So those are the ways how decisions are made around specific things that go into the roadmap. The question around how can customers be more involved, we are actually pretty excited to announce that we are going to make this even more easier for customers to come back and provide feedback. So we're going to launch Ideas Exchange on Community in the next month and a half. So be ready for that. You can actually go to the community and look at Ideas Exchange and submit your ideas, and other people can comment on it, vote on it, and provide other perspective to it. And our product team will be monitoring it on a regular basis and use that as additional source of feedback for us to figure out what RFEs, requests for enhancements, to work on. Today, the process for customers to enter that is through a support ticket. So we are making it much more easier by moving it to community and having this, the voting system as well. So community member A. Black had asked about API enhancements and process scheduling tools. So let me talk about that. So it's always been part of the roadmap to develop the next set of APIs and enhance the current APIs that we have. So part of what we are doing is building out a set of platform-based data and metadata APIs. That is under works. We have teams working on it. And part of our priority list dictates that we will be getting to it fairly quickly in terms of releasing it to the larger platform. It might take about another quarter or two before we get to the point where you can actually see it in the platform, since we have a lot of other priorities that are stacked up ahead of it as well. So definitely a lot of work happening. And the reason for, of course, these enhancements is better integration options, programmatic access to the data and the metadata within the platform, so partners can build and our customers have access to this in a programmatic way. The second question around the process scheduling piece. So today, best practices is that either our CS team or the partner CS teams works with customers to make sure that they can use the process scheduling tool of their choice. A lot of times they have a preference. They have settled on a particular set of ETL tools, a certain process scheduler that they might have. That's what they end up using to orchestrate a lot of the integrations that happen when they integrate data sources, bring data in and out of Anaplan. So we'll continue to provide that as an option. We don't plan to provide it natively in the platform in the immediate future. It's certainly there in the mid to long-term roadmap for us. So A. Black also asked about workflow and when is workflow planned for release. So just taking a step back, the teams have been working on workflow capability. So the idea is that on top of the models that we have an abstracted layer of workflow that the process designers can go build the processes that they want to guide planning participants through a structured workflow, and be able to guide them to the right place in the model to perform their action, whether it's approvals, provide input, or whatever that might be, and provide reference materials as well on the side as part of the guidance. So that's what the teams have been working on, and we are in early access today. So we launched the early access earlier this year. We have several customers, about 15 to 20 customers that our product teams and the CS teams have been working with to test out the EA product. So we are happy to announce that it will go GA by the end of this year. So our current target is around the October timeframe. Towards the end of October, we plan to have it as a generally available capability in the product. So A. Mikkel from our community has a series of questions around access, authorization, roles, separation of duties, user activity management, administration. So let me take a stab at answering a couple of them at a high level, and there'll be more detail within the community that you can go back to and look at. So first of all, from a separation of duties perspective on the authorization system, we are taking steps to make sure that the workspace admin role is now separated over a period of time into things like model admin and user admin as well. That's part of the separation of duties track on the roadmap that we are embarking on already. So we are taking the first step, moving workspace admin into our authorization system as a read-only, and the next step will be to make it part of the centralized authorization management, and then over a period of time, the new roles will come in as part of access control. So that's kind of the first area. A. Mikkel had also asked about centralizing and streamlining administration. So today, Anaplan administration is a place where you can go to view your users, your models, your access control, and so on. We would love to engage with you more to find out more detail about what you're asking for in terms of enhancements. We have heard from other customers that they would love to get a more centralized way of looking at all their models and all the users across their entire tenant. And today, it's more at a workspace level. So we do have some of those requirements, but we'd love to get your feedback on that. So look forward to engaging more in that dialogue. And the other question was around the ability to look at your user activity across your tenant. So the newly released Anaplan audit function does take a step forward in terms of looking at all your users across your tenant and seeing their activity and session data, especially when they go in and make these changes to the model. So this is important from an auditing capability. There are other ways to actually look at the data that's changed and the user activity in terms of logins and so on through other offerings like Hypercare, which you can go and look up on community as well. So again, if there are more enhancements here that you have ideas about, would love to hear more feedback from you. The last question was around functions and how we're going to improve functions. There was a specific question around time function, and I think the real question was around today function is our guess. based on the question that was asked in the context. So we are working and making progress on the today function, the now function, and we will be working on it over the next few months to hope to see further improvements in functions in general, and in particular on the today function, it'll make its way into the platform as well. So community member CK Ryan had asked about a UX for user activity reports within Anaplan. So today there are a couple of options. You can, of course, work with our CSBP to get reports on the user activity. So that's more of a manual offline effort. We also made efforts to make it a little bit more seamless with our hypercare offering. So you can sign up for that, and that's another way to actually get reports on user activity, among other things. So this is a very popular part of our hypercare offering. So what we want to do on the platform from a roadmap standpoint is provide the ability for customers to come in and within the platform get those user activity reports as well. So it is part of our roadmap. It is definitely part of our thinking. We would love to do it for a couple of different reasons. It's more for internal reasons as well. We as product leaders and product managers and engineers want to see how the users are using the platform. So there's an internal consumption part of it, as well as the ability to now take and package that and provide that to you, the administrators and the partners and the centers of excellence within our customer community that can then monitor user adoption. So that's definitely part of the roadmap. We're exploring a couple of different options, building some of these things within the platform itself, and also getting third-party tools to incorporate into the platform. So keep your eye open for that. We'll be able to announce that here in the next couple of quarters in terms of how we are rolling that out. Definitely part of next year's roadmap. There was a question from community member and master Anaplanner Theory P around summary settings by lists. And for a master planner, this is the type of question I would expect. It's fairly deep in terms of complexity and in terms of the use case that this would be used for. So I had a conversation with the product leader for this particular area, Claire, and we were chatting about potentially getting back in touch with Theory to understand the specific use case. It is not on our short-term roadmap at the moment, but we feel that this could be a pretty interesting idea. The use case that was mentioned was specifically around allocation, the allocation use case. So we want to dig into that further and also take a step back and see what are the other use cases this might be useful for. So we'd love to understand more, and we'll be back in touch with you. So community members Tiffany Rice and Amy X both asked about time ranges and what we're doing to further the functionality of time ranges. As a lot of people know, we recently introduced time ranges as new functionality in the product. So in addition to your model timescale, now you can set up different time ranges that can be used in your modules. Now the questions and the suggestions are around, can you make it dynamic, for example, so that it pegs off the current year in the model timescale. The other suggestion that was proposed was if you can actually have different time ranges for in a quarterly bucket, for example, that doesn't map to your fiscal year. There are some use cases for that. So these are all great suggestions. We would love to have it be entered as part of our RFE process. Like I mentioned earlier today on some of the earlier questions, you can enter RFEs, requests for enhancements today, as part of our support tickets. So just mark it as an RFE. And then pretty soon that we will be opening up an idea exchange platform as well. So please be sure to enter it in there, and we'll start looking at it, and the product team will review it and try to bucket it into one of the future product roadmap conversations. Our community member, Fabian Jold, had asked about shortening the error processing times, especially when entering formulas. And there was another user at Don Srini had a similar question, which takes it a little bit further in terms of troubleshooting, debugging, commenting formulas. So the idea with both is same. What else can we do to make error processing much more robust up front before it actually gets entered into the system? Fabian also made a comment that was somewhat funny about having to stare at the screen for 3 to 5 minutes before realizing and seeing the error of your ways. So we understand the pain our customers and users are going through, and we're trying to do more and more. That particular team, the product and engineering team, are thinking of ways to capture those errors up front to prevent the long rollbacks. So one of the things that we have seen, and this might be obvious to Fabian and some of the other users, but in general to the other members of the community as well, ALM is a great way in terms of implementing a best practice to reduce the amount of rollback time. So you get these smaller models in a dev environment, test it out, rollback is much smaller in case you do make mistakes, and then you promote it to test and production where the rollbacks might be much longer. So we have seen customers come back and tell us this has really helped improve their time in terms of managing their formulas and the errors, fat fingering, or syntax errors that they enter into the formulas. So we're doing more and more work to capture it up front. There are some places where it's really not possible, but the product and engineering teams are working hard to make it better over a period of time. I also wanted to take this opportunity to address a couple of questions that didn't explicitly come up in this particular AMA session, but these are questions I hear from our customers and partners on a regular basis. So thematically, if you look at where we're headed with the product roadmap for the next, let's say, 3 to 4 quarters, so there are 3 big buckets that we're working on. One is user experience, and we've done a lot of work in the first half of this year to deliver a lot of features, usability enhancements to our customers, been received very well. Set of things like personal save dashboards, images on dashboards, a lot of quick shortcuts, the ability to enter notes. So a lot of areas where it's been received really well, which has been great. The second area, which I talked about under user experience, is the workflow capability, which is in EA now. We talked about GA coming up in October or so. The third area where we're really excited about is we're actually reimagining the entire user interface for the end users. So the dashboarding capability, much more intuitive look and feel, both the grid pages as well as the high-level board pages, more widget-based approach. The end user will have a lot more personalization than the ability to manage the different components of the dashboard. Again, the look and feel has been enhanced quite a bit. And you'll have the ability as customers to have the existing classic user experience as well as the new user experience side by side. So we'll start rolling this out early part of next year. We are actually going through a beta phase for the second half of this year, end of August, early September, mid-September timeframe. We'll start doing some beta customer rollout as well. So super excited about that. That's on the user experience side. The second big bucket and thematic area is around intelligent planning. We already have a lot of intelligence built into the platform. We are actually improving that. So a lot of things that our customers currently use around the stat and forecasting model, we are actually improving the models that are available on the App Hub. So you can actually download and be much further along in terms of actually implementing it and getting running with it. So we're making tons of improvements there. We recently launched Optimizer capability for more complex linear optimization problems. We have several customers who are using it, and we are rolling it out more broadly. A lot more education around it and the use cases that it can be used for. So those are in the product, in the platform today. And the last area is around machine learning and AI capabilities. We're doing a lot of POCs, and you'll start hearing more and more from us in terms of how that capability can be rolled in and how you guys can access it as customers. The last area is around enterprise success. Some of the questions that came up earlier in this particular AMA session certainly related to that, right? How do you manage from an administration standpoint, scalability in terms of deploying models, users, security, reliability, and so on. There's a lot of underlying infrastructure work that's happening to make sure that the platform is stable enough to serve our largest enterprise customers. So those are the 3 big thematic areas. Again, looking forward to sharing a lot more with our customers and partners on community and through other forums. Thank you for participating in this Ask Me Anything session. I really enjoyed looking at the questions, enjoyed answering it, and we as a team put our heads together to come up with some of the responses. We would love to continue to engage with you. Please do continue to come to the community and continue the conversation. There is a survey in this Ask Me Anything section. Please do take the survey. Let us know if this is helpful. Can we do more of this? Can we do this with the larger team? Again, looking forward to continuing to have this conversation in person, on community, as well as through other forums. Thank you.